All right, everybody, settle down here at the Pod Academy. Now, I wanted to bring a little issue to your attention. It seems all of our rubber bands are missing. If somebody has been making them do some sort of gigantic ball of some sort, I would appreciate if you give a couple of them back because my papers are getting everywhere. I'm Alex.
Hey, Pete, I'm the guy stealing all the rubber bands. I'm the bad kid in the back of the class. Yeah. We're gonna get him. Oh, man. What's the Amish? I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
and we're going to talk about Umbrella Academy, Season 3, Episode 2, World's Biggest Ball of Twine. Was that what you were going to clarify, Pete, that we're talking about twine, not rubber bands?
Twine, not a rubber band.
Listen, when I'm planning the bits that kick off of this podcast, which is a solid day of my time, at least.
Months in advance.
Months in advance. Thank you, Pete. I was downplaying it, but yes, it's months of my time. I thought about it, and are they more likely to have twine in a classroom or rubber bands? Both of them can be made into balls, and ultimately I went with rubber bands. Let's take it from the top again because I really messed up. I'm Alex. No.
Oh, I love that intro. Well, I mean, Amish classrooms would probably have twine, and I think that's apropos.
Yeah, twine was the original rubber bands, I always say.
Yeah. Very slightly
In any case,
flexible.
If you haven't checked out the episode on Netflix, please do. But brief bit of recap here. The Umbrellas are on the run, or rather, not really running anywhere. They're just kind of staying in place over the Hotel Obsidian, while the Sparrow Academy kidnaps Luther this episode to find out what happened to Marcus. They don't know that he got eaten by the big ball of energy in their basement, so there's a lot of confusion going on here. But in the midst of all of this, Klaus and Five take a road trip to visit the Amish, to visit Klaus's mom. They find out some alarming information, which is that all of their moms are dead, and in fact died on the day that they were all born. So they got a whole big thing going on here. And by the end of the episode, we get some romantic things pick up significantly as Sloane from the Sparrow Academy and Luther from the Umbrella Academy have a cute little floaty kiss. So there you go.
There's nothing better than a floating kiss.
Floaty kiss. That's how all kisses feel. That's how you know.
Well,
you just hover a little bit.
Now,
kisses, buddy.
Justin, I'm curious because I know the first episode you had questions, I think is a fair way of putting it. Do you feel like things are ramping up a little bit more in this episode, or how are you feeling 2 episodes in? Oh, Pete. Yeah. Pete, do you want to weigh in on how Justin's feeling?
I was just doing a ramp, ramping it up.
Okay. That wasn't a raising a hand. That was
that was just a ramp, just kind of.
Just physicalize it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that acting training that you didn't have.
Hey, I minored in acting, asshole.
Minor! We got ourselves a minor. Object work, though, you're exactly your thing.
Wait, what did you major in?
Communications, television and radio.
Oh, wow. Perfect. You're on a podcast right now.
Killing it.
And you're an effective communicator, mostly.
This is my ramp.
Your ramp. Yeah, effectively.
That was a whole semester right there. 4 classes on ramps.
It's cross-disciplinary with the physics department. So far, I think this episode, it is coming together. I think some of the stuff we talked about last episode where it's like, they should be aware that this is a time paradox. They know this. And so the fact that Five's like, what I think we've got on our hands here is a paradox. It's like, we all know. We know what's up. So I'm glad they're at least caught up with that. And I do it's the pace of this show, I think, is something that takes getting used to. It's a show where it's like, look, we're going to play some dope-ass music all the time. The music budget on this show has got to be sick. And they'll luxuriate in these longer scenes. And there are some other scenes where here are 4 things that you're going to need to know. These are huge facts for the rest of the season. And then moving on. So it's it matches the tone of the characters as well, where they're like, we don't know what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So they're like, sit around for half a day. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, we have to do this incredibly difficult thing. And that's it.
I do think one of the big things that I enjoyed the way it was executed, but ultimately was a little frustrating for me in this episode was Klaus and Diego's road trip, because as soon as they were leaving, I was like, oh, come on, we just got everybody together again. Please stop splitting them up. And I expected that there would be some sort of, now Klaus and Diego are going to be gone for 3 episodes as usual with the show. But the fact that they went to Amish country and back in one episode was kind of nice.
Sometimes you just need to see a big ball of yarn and then you go home.
Well, you got to get some. They should have picked up some shoe-fly pie. That's all I'm saying. That's one of my favorite things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or some handmade furniture.
Shoe-fly pie, Pete? You got a sweet tooth.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Shoe-fly pie is, sort of like the molasses jelly that's in pecan pie.
Yeah.
Right? So it's that, but instead of covered in pecans, whatever you want to call it, it's covered in the like brown sugar cinnamon stuff that's on the top of the crumbly muffins. So it's like crumble muffin tops on a molasses pie. It's pure sugar, man.
Wow.
And let me say,
amazing.
it's so good. Like, it's worth like being Amish for like a while. Like, it's worth like giving all this up. Like,
You had that
getting rid of
reverse Rumspringer, right?
Exactly. I was like, enough of this. Podcast, drink. I did it now, not even when I was a teenager.
wow, that's crazy.
I just ran back because that pie is that good.
Yeah.
So you're saying next time I drive by one of those like Amish
Wait,
markets,
yeah, what? You live in Philly.
yeah,
How have you not had a shoe fly pie yet?
because when someone says shoe fly pie, I don't think delicious because it combines flies and pie and shoes, and I don't think
pie,
that's funny.
the two worst
I almost said
I mean,
pie.
I agree with you, Pete. It's a poorly named pie for
Thank
what it
you.
is.
Yeah, but the
So
idea
I'm
is
not
it's so
gonna
sweet.
then
It's so
check
sweet
it
it
out.
attracts flies, and you got to go shoe flies. Get away from this delicious sweet pie. That's the idea there.
Oh, I
Wow,
see.
Alex
Wow.
really selling this pie. Let me
It's
just say.
one of my favorite pies.
Well,
But
and- well, before I just
yeah.
have one more thing on this, Pete. Next time you pass Amish country,
Yeah.
drive up, hide your car because they don't like cars.
Yeah, yeah.
And take your clothes off, join the Amish, try this. pie.
Take my clothes off. I feel like
Oh,
that's where your
Well, they don't like your
plan
modern
falls.
clothes.
I don't think
They
you
don't like
joined the
your modern
Amish. I think you joined a nudist colony, Justin.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
The pie was still good. But
Well, that's
it
all
was
that
a different
matters.
type of pie. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
get out of here with that. Don't you besmirch
How
my
dare you.
pie years.
How dare you?
My nude pie years.
The last thing, I'm mostly talking about this pie, though, because I don't want to talk about the other part that I was frustrated with the storyline is I think this is another one of those things like there's no real reason for Klaus to suddenly decide, oh, I want to search for my mom now and go and look for her, other than for them to have the information that his mom is dead, which they kind of get coincidentally anyway. So if it leads to a situation where ultimately, like, great, we're past this, they know it's a paradox, they know what's going on, and then they have to deal with it for the next 8 episodes, awesome. But as is, even though I had a fun time watching the individual parts of it, overall, you can feel the plot mechanisms creaking a little bit when you're watching the show.
All right. First off, I hard disagree because I really like that choice. Because first off, he's kind of sobering up, coming to, and then being like, okay, I've got some shit that I want to look into. But also kind of how sometimes it works with memories or kind of like things that are maybe in your past that you've blocked out or whatever. Years can go by before it kind of unlocks. So the fact that like it just kind of happened and he's dropping everything to deal with it, I like that choice. And also teaming him with retired Five was worth it just for the old people bits alone.
The old people bits.
Take your fucking criticism and shove it.
I agree. I'm going to agree with both of you.
Wow, that seems
oddly.
impossible.
Yeah, well, let me tell you how. Because I agree. I think you do see some of the plot scaffolding here. It doesn't make a ton of sense why a lot of the action seemed a little unmotivated. But one thing that I thought watching this episode is the motivation is fixed a little bit if you take into consideration that these characters are like kids. Even though they're adults, they behave as like kids without like a huge attention span. And like Luther's just like only purely motivated by what's happening in the moment, and he's like, this is weird. Ooh, I like this. And like Klaus is the same way. He's like, I want to find my mom. Like, and then he goes and does it. Like, it's very like they all have this sort of childish way about them. For the most part, I think Viktor is a little bit of a different situation. But the whole thing feels like that justifies a lot of their sort of random actions.
One of the reasons I love this episode is we get a lot of answers to things. When you have Luther, who is fantastic in this episode, just running so happy about his life and then just slowly realizing he's being chased and in trouble. He's the last one to realize it, which says a lot about him. But when he's in the bird facility or the other team's Sparrow Academy.
Sparrow.
The bird facility. The fact that we have this huge revelation that Ben is the reason that they suck as a team and is the reason that they've all splintered off. Like this other team who loves teamwork and thrives on it doesn't have this huge kind of like missing piece that was Ben. And I love this kind of realization because without Ben, they all fell apart and
you love Ben.
And kind of splintered. And this huge event caused the family to suck as a family unit, and they're in trouble because of it. And so to have Luther just kind of wandering around his other possible life of like, hey, if my team didn't have these adversities and kind of was raised in this way, we would be like this, trapped in our houses, sure, but he loves the facilities, he loves the kind of like whole setup of it, and finds out that because they have their band, they're a great unit and can work together. I thought it was really the fact that like Luther stumbles across this answer and is like, oh yeah, as he's making himself an all you can eat or whatever, kind of dropping these huge kind of like bombs was really great.
Oh, I thought you were going to respond to that, Justin.
I mean, I agree with Pete. I think to have Ben be the sort of interlocutor between the group and really highlighting him is such a change from the first two seasons where it felt like for a long time Ben was like, hey, he's not there, and then he's sort of a ghost, but he doesn't do much. And then he was such a huge factor at the end of last season. To continue that, I think, is really nice.
I also do really the quick thing that I wanted to say is I really like how Justin H. is playing Ben this season as a total dick.
Yeah.
Like there's this sharpness, sort of snakiness to the way that he's delivering the lines. He's just kind of angry and angular and everything, and it's great. It's a very different Ben than we've seen before, and I'm having a lot of fun watching it.
It feels like if Marcus is the number one, the sort of face of Sparrow Academy, Ben is like the one who's actually getting shit done behind the scenes.
Also, I love how everybody's just so happy to see Ben alive that they aren't really paying attention to what he's saying or his threats because they're just so happy to see him. I love this running bit because of it's just like, oh, I don't care what you're saying to me or the fact that you want to kill us. It's just so great to see you alive.
I do, while we're still talking about this, really like the relationship between Luther and Sloane. It's very sweet and innocent. The exchange that they have where he's like, and I was on the moon for a while, and she says it's cool, and he's like, you think that's cool that I was on the moon?
He's like, yeah, it is cool.
Yes, it's very fun because, of course, us as viewers were like, yes, it's cool to live on the moon, but everybody else has been so dismissive of it the entire time. It's nice to see people liking Luther. Like, he seems to actually fit into the Sparrow Academy way better than he fit into the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, and they need a number one, turns out.
There you go. So maybe that's heading that direction. And, of course, we also get a little floaty kiss at the end to higher love. And on the nose music cue, if there ever was one.
Yeah, right.
But it's a very cute kiss at the end. I know I was harping on this the last episode, Pete, but now that Luther Sloane is official, how are you feeling about that in relationship to Luther Allison?
Yeah.
Well, it's tough because there was that whole brother-sister thing, so this is nice. But
they
it's
just grew
also
up in the same house, essentially. Like, it's not like there was ever any of
And also, I mean, if you're going to work it on that, Sloane is also technically his sister.
What?
Well, they were all born on the same day, right?
Oh, that's
weird. Out of the same particles or whatever.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you said particles. I think it's one of those things where
that's what I call semen.
Oh my God. I really didn't need that today.
Wow, that changes the particle accelerator.
Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, don't go to that place. It's a mess.
What point I'm trying to desperately get to is it would be nice to see other people get love interest as well. Luther swimming in it, but it would be nice to see.
Oh, okay. You're jealous of Luther taking all the dateable material on the show. Is that what's going on here?
Well, there are other great people out there. You know what I mean?
Who are you trying to get in line? Everyone's had relationships.
I'd like to see, Klaus do some good things, and
he dated that dude.
I know. Yeah, and he went off to Nam. It was very horrible.
But truly, last season, didn't everyone sort of have? Allison has had multiple relationships.
Sure.
We had Vanya last season with Sissy, which obviously left a huge mark on her.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's out there.
Yeah. Peter, you're talking about the character
Lila?
Pete LePage needs to.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because your birthday is October 1st, 1989 as well, right?
Nope, not even close. But I appreciate it.
All right. Well,
but you were made by particles, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's
right,
true.
Alex?
That's true. Yeah.
We're definitely going to accelerate that little discussion.
Oh,
if you know
my
what
God.
I'm talking about. Why don't we move to the other big plot line, or at least the world-wise big plot line of the episode, which is Viktor's coming out story here, as was very, very, in a tiny little way, hinted at in the first episode. Here, Vanya is walking, sees a haircutting place, gets a haircut, and reveals to everyone that he is Viktor, and everybody seems very cool with it. The biggest discussion is Allison, which I thought was great because Allison and Viktor have had such a very specific sibling relationship. Specifically, they push the sisters' relationship very hard. So that is something that potentially could have gone wrong, just in a dramatic way. So the fact that it does go right and does feel so real, I thought was pretty awesome. And the whole thing, I don't know if it struck you guys this way, but it really felt to me like discussions the cast probably had with Elliot.
Yeah, but that's what. Has there ever been a situation like this where an actor made a change in their life and then the show reflected it? Like, I thought that was so cool.
Not so. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, when people are pregnant, they have to
hide
ride around
lamps and stuff.
That's true, but they mostly just hide stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm not thinking of it right now. There has been stuff, but this feels like such a deft pivot here is the way that I'd put it, where it's something that happened between seasons. And what it feels like, and I think this is to the show's merit, is it feels like they probably had a plot set out for the Vanya character. And then Elliot said, listen, I'm a man. That's who I am. And they were like, oh, okay. And so they added a couple of scenes here to make that, no pun intended, transition to Viktor, and then kept everything the same. And that's kind of how it should be, because Viktor is who Viktor always has been, as Viktor states, same as Elliot is who Elliot has always been, as Elliot states. So having the same plot there regardless, I think, is great.
I mean,
and also the fact that
you ruined a really great moment there, but that Klaus being like, who's Viktor, and her being like, it's who I've always been, was such a powerful and great way to kind of state that, and also I love the honesty of like, who's Viktor, of like, what do we, and then that kind of thing of like, it's who I always am. I think it was such a cool thing. And then I also liked Allison's kind of like, oh, I should have known, like this immediate, like, I could understand that if somebody feels like they've been hiding something, if you're close to that person, you might think like to yourself, like, why didn't I pick up on it? I could have helped. When you care about somebody, you want to do well by them. So I like the fact that she was kind of immediately beating herself up a little bit. And then Viktor being like, hey, I struggled with it too. Don't beat yourself up. Just really well done conversations. Really thought it was very powerful and very cool, and very happy that we didn't have to, like have anybody fighting or kind of like, So I felt like that was great.
And I think it did two things for the larger story and relationships in the show. It showed the Umbrella Academy as a real family, and really like being like kind, understanding, but like very real about it in a positive way. I thought that was very cool, and will hopefully be reflected in the larger story that is actually what makes them special and able to beat, say, Sparrow Academy when they are clearly way more powerful or organized with them. It's their family unit and strength they find together that makes them strong. And two, it also feels like Viktor's relationship with Sissy last season not only helped him go from being Vanya to Viktor, but also like Viktor seems like he's taking a larger role in the Umbrella Academy. There's like much more of a like, you know what? I'm sick of sort of being the one everyone kept to the side, like in season 1, or like was just dealing with their own problems off to the side. Now Viktor's like, no, I'm going to fix this. How come you guys aren't helping me? We need to be better about this. So like there is sort of a signaled relationship change as well alongside this. Now the fact that that's all paired together, I think is much smarter and better than it being like, look, Vanya became Viktor, and that's it. Like it's having a whole thing is great.
Yeah, my favorite Beyond the Allison conversation, which I thought, like I was saying, and like Pete was saying, was very good and very real, my favorite moment here was Viktor coming up, just rapid fire, having everybody being like, fine by me, cool, whatever you want. And then Viktor sits down and they immediately go into another conversation. To me, that was such a clear signal of like, this is what it is. Let's move on. Let's go. And I thought that was really, really well done. Why don't we talk about Allison, though, just because we're touching on that? Because she seems to be going through it this episode to the point that she's basically having like
breaking point.
A literal breaking point. She seems to be having a psychotic break in the middle of the diner towards the end.
At least a panic attack, if nothing more, I think.
It seems like the kind of paradoxes and the different worlds are kind of colliding in her head. And so she's having a hard time with what is real and what isn't. So, yeah, I mean, that whole scene where like she shows up to her kid's house and it's not her kid was just absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah, and so to have those kind of like moments where the diner and all those kinds of things collide was pretty intense for the character and super sad. But yeah, really well done and well acted.
Yeah, it was very sad. Like we talked about, it was sort of like you should probably have anticipated this before you got there, but obviously that helped get such a like heartbreaking scene in front of our eyes. So that was cool. I also think it really, you asked earlier about the Allison Luther relationship. Feels like that's not at all on her radar. She's focused on her daughter. She's even maybe a bit focused on her husband here. We get to see him. She seems to be excited to see him in this moment. So maybe there's something there. She flashes back to her time in the past. So maybe there's some thought to that relationship that she had. So it feels like she's definitely fully away from Luther. And it also puts her in an interesting place because she wants the briefcase maybe more than anyone now, I would think. Five wants it for his own ends. Viktor wants it for his own ends. But now Allison is sort of in the same boat.
And we do get to see Lila very briefly. She uses Fae, I think it is, bird powers to get back the briefcase. Her previous briefcase is not working. This is another thing that I feel like, of course, if they change the timeline, there's going to be some weird problems with the briefcase. So this is another thing that I want them to hurry up and maybe like figure out a little quicker than they're figuring out. But it's fine. It's been 2 episodes, so they'll get there. We also get to see Lester Pocket what were you going to say, Justin?
I was going to say, Lila feels like we get to see her, 3 times in this episode? Yeah. I feel like she's going to have a bit of a role, which I was surprised about. She breaks her briefcase, gets another one. She feels like she feels like a chaos agent.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because I thought she was just sort of ditching her son, but with Diego, but it does feel like maybe she's got more going
"Quote unquote" son, because I don't know what was coming out of his ears, but that didn't look normal.
That was gross. That was
I was
gross.
like, I don't think that's a real kid. I think maybe that's like a decoy kid or something, because it seems
because of the ear juice. You think a decoy child has ear juice?
I'm just saying, she shows up. It seems like she has this other agenda going on. She knows Diego's dumb, so she's like, I'm going to put this alien baby in front of Diego that'll distract him long enough so I can get the briefcase and get out of here. And then the kid melts because it's not a real kid or something. But I really think that they're positioning her as going to be maybe a big bad later that they have to kind of go up against. But
wait, I just wanted to get back. Just Pete, I'm with you on alien baby thing. Like, that ear juice is weird. Yes, kids get ear infections, but that feels like that can't be a random detail that you're just throwing in there necessarily. Maybe it was to get them to the drugstore so that they could have the big fight with the Sparrow Academy folks, which was very fun, by the way. But still,
I want to get there in a second, but I just want to say, I've seen ear infections. My brother's had them forever.
Tell us.
Never seen that color come out. So that's what made me.
Brother?
Yeah, there's no need to quotes. I have an actual brother.
That's what you call your right ear, right? Is your brother?
No. I wish I was lying, but I'm not.
I have actually 2 brothers, one on each side of my head.
I've met your actual brother, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, sorry, Pete. There's so much ear juice coming out of your right ear that it's pushing your headphone out, and I don't think you can hear us very well.
I just think that after this episode, it'd be heartbreaking if that kid wasn't really his kid, because I feel like that could have been a distraction. But after the bonding that kind of happened in the fight, now I want that kid to be real.
I think it's more fun if that kid is real. In their fight.
But explain the neon yellow juice coming out of his ears.
Hey, pus is weird. It comes out, it's gross, it smells bad. Like, I think that was just standard grossness. We see Diego and his son fight. He definitely has Diego energy. They're fighting together. And Lila seems like she wanted to leave their son aside so she could go do her own stuff. If this was all an overarching plot of revenge or something, I don't know if she'd be so quick to just go do her other stuff. So I'm on son is real son, ear juice is ear juice.
No, man.
You're on team ear juice is what you are.
As always, EJ for life.
Gross. Couple of other things that happen in this episode. We get to see Lester Pocket again. He is spying on Allison before escaping into an alleyway. What do you think is going on there? What's your big theory?
That guy's creepy, man.
Yeah, I wonder, because he was outside the diner right after Allison was sort of having her episode, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's push-pulling. I don't know if he could be good, he could be bad.
I just want to throw out there, maybe we did make this connection on the last episode, but I don't think we did. We were talking about how the big ball of energy in the basement might be the center of a hot pocket, the hottest thing imaginable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this guy is named Lester Pocket.
Yeah.
So did we make that connection? I honestly don't remember.
We did, yes.
We did.
Okay. Halfway through the episode, I was like, wait, his name's Lester Pocket. And we talked about Hot Pocket because that got us talking about cold pockets. And where we ended up there is that maybe a cold pocket is an olive with a pimento on the inside.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Why would you call that back? Why would you call that? That was
because in my original case, I stand by a donut is the cold pocket.
No.
Pete refused to accept that a donut, a jelly donut, is a cold pocket. And I'm telling you, that's what I think.
That's the jelly donut does have a cold pocket inside, and that jelly does get very cold. But a hot pocket. Oh my God.
Well, but think about this, Pete. If Lester Pocket is a cold pocket like a jelly donut, that might tie back to the donut lady from the first season who you love so much. So that might be tying up that whole storyline.
Well,
now we got him on board.
I am excited that hopefully this cold pocket can take out the floating lava, because Mom was getting way too comfortable with that, and I'm really worried about her as a character.
Yeah,
she not just so we're clear, her name is not Donut Lady; it's Cold Pocket Lady from here on out.
No, don't you dare!
You're in love with a Cold Pocket later.
All of the characters as Cold Pocket. I think that'll make things easier for the listeners.
Definitely,
yes.
But back on Lester Pocket. Unclear what he's doing. He obviously it's a mystery. I feel like because he's being shown as something that they're scared of or cautious about, it feels like maybe he's going to end up being someone who's helping them.
Interesting. A couple of go ahead, Pete.
But that doesn't make any sense. Why would you hide then and be so sketchy and creepy? Why wouldn't you just be like, "Hey, I'm trying to help"?
Maybe he's scared. They seem pretty intimidating. If you had to help the Umbrella Academy, you're such a big fan of the show, Pete. Mm-hmm. You'd probably be a little nervous to go up and talk to them, right?
No, I go right up to Diego, punch him in the face, and be like, "Love your work."
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's how my friends.
But you love Ben so much, you'd kiss his little tentacle ends.
It's true. We do a float kiss. We would float kiss, me and Ben.
Every night before we went to sleep, you'd be like...
Little baby kisses on those tentacle ends.
Tiny little, right on the ends. Not on any other part, just that.
Yep.
I really like the conversation that Klaus and Five had by the big ball of twine, and ending with the punchline of, I think it was something like, "I said nice things, now you say nice things."
Yeah.
And then Five just leaving. Very fun. Oh, it was all right. You say nice things about me now. And then the other thing, Five's reaction when he sees the cows disappear and he says something to the effect of, "I don't get one fucking day off." Very fun as well.
Yeah, very. I'm getting too old for this shit energy from a young person. Very like a boy.
Any other notes from the episode you guys want to call out, Pete?
Yeah, Klaus said, "I almost died from toxic farts last night." That was just
Luther's toxic farts.
Yeah.
Let's not forget. Yeah, a couple things I want to say. We get this reveal that the Umbrella Academy are known as the Kennedy Six. They're in the history books, and that's where we see Viktor find Sissy in there as well, which I thought was cool. And what do we?
But Dick moved to rip out the page. You shouldn't do that in case other people need some research.
It's in a hotel. It's just in the hotel.
Still,
it's not a
hotel
it's
lobby.
Not a
it's a library in the hotel. I mean, another guest needs to look something up.
It's like that old song. After the party is the hotel lobby, and if you're in the hotel lobby, rip a page out of a book.
Yeah. And hotel lobbies have the best books.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, so between that and the fact that all of their moms were killed before they were born, so they were effectively eliminated from the timeline, creating this grandfather paradox. Do we think Hargreaves is behind that, based on his interactions, like he said, with the Kennedy Six?
Certainly seems like the most likely possibility at this point, right?
Or it's the character that everybody keeps calling Mom. Maybe she's behind it.
Or maybe Lester Pocket.
Lester Pocket. I do think that Hargreaves, we have this thing from earlier seasons where he's like an alien and all of that stuff that there's just been dropped in our lap without any sort of justification. It does feel like this season needs to move back toward Hargreaves, either as a larger big bad or some sort of force that they have to contend with.
It definitely does seem like, go ahead, Pete.
He doesn't seem like a force in this episode. We see him for 2 seconds and he's just like, I'm watching TV.
Yeah, wasn't he watching like TJ Hooker or something?
Yeah, he's like, go get him, TJ.
Yeah. Yes, so that sort of works against this, but at the same time, the fact that he hated the Umbrella Academy so much, it kind of made sense that he would remember who they were and kill their mothers before they were born, potentially, which is kind of horrible and dark, but it sort of fits with the character as we know him up to that point, if not necessarily the point he's at currently, however he got there. One other detail that I thought was very fun that I forgot about earlier is after Luther is kidnapped by the Sparrows, when they let him go, they give him a tote bag. Very fun.
Very fun. Don't forget your tote bag.
Yeah, I wonder. We never found out what was in there. I thought that was
it's all swag for the Sparrow.
Definitely,
Academy.
Probably some almond butter, a shirt. I'm guessing.
Yeah, a shirt.
Scented candle,
a cap,
a Zune,
maybe a little blanket with their emblem.
See, there's a Zune,
Zune
a Microsoft Zune, and a Zima. Yep. I also want to ask, why is the sort of singularity paradox wave killing only small and increasingly larger animals?
I think, here's my theory on that. My theory is so that it doesn't eliminate any of the main characters yet, and Five can notice it's happening.
This is more of your mad at the plot a little bit.
If I may, I spend a lot of my time in college staring at a lava lamp. So if you do kind of spend a lot of time with something like that, it does explain its plan that it would start killing the smallest creatures that nobody would know and then work its way up through the food chain. So that's kind of always been any ball of lava, any kind of liquid in almost solid forms, evil plans from the beginning.
Like that soda that used to exist where it would have like the little bubbles floating in it.
Yeah.
That was really good and gross, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, if you spend too much time with a boba tea, they're gonna tell you the same
I'm not
thing.
even thinking of boba tea. There was the soda that came out like 15, 20 years ago. I think it was called Orbits, where it was soda and there were tiny little tapioca pearls that were floating in it. Very delicious.
I don't believe that.
What? That was gross.
Oh, I loved it.
It's like someone spilled jelly in your soda water.
Crystal Light as well? Did you like the clear
just
Pepsi?
Orbits. Just Orbits.
Okay, because Orbits
bring it back.
is dumb.
Starting the campaign to bring back Orbits.
Nope.
Let's do it. Let's get it trending.
I was
listening to that Umbrella Academy recap podcast, and that's why it's trending now.
They got Orbits going. I also wanted to say one last thing, which is...
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. Say the thing, but I just want to clarify. We should probably amend the hashtag. So it would be hashtag bring back Orbits, but not the gum. That's already back. Go ahead.
Good call. Yeah. A little long for a hashtag.
Hashtag never left.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Never left. I loved the just some images here. The Klaus running from the Amish I thought was very cool. Very fun.
My God, that was such a fun start the car. Just great. Just great stuff.
And Five using the marker on the windows, just like a lot of cool stuff there. Do we think Mom is going to end up being sort of the Paradox villain? Like if the Paradox becomes a corporeal form, it'll be Mom who is.
I could see that. I could see some sort of thing like the Hot Pocket ball could go inside her and she becomes like this godlike robot straight out of Superman 3 type deal, you know?
Yeah. If she were to bravely eat the Hot Pocket.
Mm-hmm. I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend eating a Hot Pocket?
I don't. I've burnt myself too many times, and it's not really that worth it. It's good for a couple of seconds, but it gets bad fast. Anyways, I loved when Viktor was kind of telling everybody, the team, like what happened, and Diego was immediately like, "Oh, rookie move." Totally suckering you. Like you fell for that. Like that was just hysterical. After all this information, that was like Diego's first reaction. And it was fun to see Chris as well in this episode. I'm really hoping we get some kind of translation or something on all the jokes that Chris is dropping that we're missing because people are cracking up.
Christopher the Cube.
Yes, Chris the Cube.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah,
Chris.
What other Chris am I talking about?
I don't know. Your friend Chris or something?
Yeah. It's funny because they call him Christopher or Cube, and you're like Chris, my man Chris.
Yeah, my boy Chris, floating Cube. He's dropping crazy jokes, and people are cracking up.
Good old CC, Christopher Cube.
Yeah,
C squared.
You're in a 3-on-3 hoop it up tournament with Chris, right?
Yeah.
It's you, Chris, and
a Hot Pocket.
And a Hot Pocket.
No, it's Hakeem Olajuwon, Chris, and I.
Wow, real ringer out there. Yeah. I just swing that. Wait, let me ask you, what are you doing on this team?
I feel like you and the Cube are pulling your weight.
I brought Chris.
Oh, you brought
Chris.
Yeah.
Well, then you're playing against some of the Space Jam characters, right?
Yeah, exactly. But what's great is Chris.
Wait, for the new Space Jam or the Monstars from the original?
Monstars, make them.
Oh, okay. Good stuff. Who gets top marks this episode? Pete, who gets top marks?
Oh, this is tough. I mean, I want to give it to Viktor. Viktor did a great job in this episode. They handled it so well. I was really impressed, and I thought great performance on all sides.
Cool. What about you, Justin?
I agree about Viktor, but to change it up, I'm going to give it up to Luther. Great Luther ep. We got to see the Sparrow Academy through his eyes. I love that he's finally in a potential relationship with someone who seems to love him on the same wavelength as he loves Sloane. So that's very fun. I'm really feeling Luther this season.
I'm going to throw it out to Klaus, I think. Just because it was nice to have him back in a main storyline. He took a little bit of a back burner than the previous episode. Favorite character on the show. Love to see him at the forefront. Just very fun stuff. And for all of you, if you'd like to support our podcast, patreon.com/comicbookclub. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast on YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about the Umbrella Academy. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Podcademy on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Podcademy.
Cold Pocket.